Okay, so my goal for this video is to show you all, what I do the first time I take my boat out. I just got my 2020 Nitro Z21 in, and I've actually not had it in the water yet. So Elle and I are headed up here to Cherokee, actually stopping at the gas station right now. You need gas in a boat. Brand new boat, doesn't have any gas in it, but I don't like to put 15 or 20 gallons in it for the very first time. I want to fill that tank to max capacity to see just exactly how much fuel that boat holds. Every tank, every boat is a little bit different, even though it's the exact same model. My boat last year, I think, actually held 65 gallons, even though it only said it was rated for 60. So I want to see just exactly how much this one holds, just how much I can cram in there before I go right over here to the access at Cherokee Dam and put it in the water. Then we'll start the break-in process. Really only a couple hours that you have to be, more careful or more aware of what you're doing. After that, it's pretty lenient, but we'll go through that step by step and show you just exactly how I start that from the time I first put the boat in the water, not even taking it off the trailer. So I'll show you that here in just a second. So here's what we got at the gas station. Rutledge, buy low. Let's see, that was the second one. Here's the first one, $100 worth. Got us 41.68 gallons. Another $53 worth got us 22.2 gallons. So we got 41 and 22, it'd be 63, about 63 and a half, real close to 64 gallons. So ended up holding 64 gallons or so. Mike could have got just a little bit more in it, but it was already starting to gurgle out. Here at the boat ramp now, I'm gonna put the boat in, but leave the front connected. I want to actually take just a minute and kind of break in the gear case. It's something you don't hear a lot of people talk about, but I want to leave it in gear on the trailer, go forward, neutral, reverse, neutral, forward, neutral, reverse. So back and forth between the gears 3 or 4 times, give it a little bit of gas each way, 1,000, 1,200 RPM, but just kind of working that back and forth after I've let the motor sit in the water for maybe 5 minutes to warm up. So gonna do that right now, and then we'll be able to unhook, take off out of here. Alright, so I'm out here. I've got started doing my break-in procedure. Mercury V8 Pro XS. Like the book said, the first 2 hours, you want to vary your RPMs up and down up to 4,500 with burst up to wide open for less than a minute. So that's what I've been doing. I've been at it for just about 30 or so minutes or so now. Got another hour and a half or so to do this. You don't realize just how long 2 hours is until you're just boat riding, especially at a slow speed. Alright, so I have got my 2 hours in of varying that throttle up and down on the break-in. Really the tougher, slower part of that break-in. I'm good now to do anything other than run wide open for more than 5 minutes at a time. So I've got the tough part out of the way. I can basically fish however I want to at this point and just go and do my thing. So next up, I've been playing with my graphs a little bit to get some stuff set up, but that's something that for me it takes, it takes some time. Just with new electronics on the boat, even though they're the same thing I was running last season, when you've got a new set of graphs, it always takes a little bit of time to get those set up exactly the way you want. So I've basically got my side image where I'm pretty happy with it. This is on the what would be the regular 455 settings. So just to show you here, if you go to that enhance, so to do that, hit menu once, go down to enhance, and this has got really your stuff to dial that stuff in. The only other thing I haven't done yet is put my, actually not contour mode, I don't want that, I want my sharpness on low. But with my sensitivity at 12, contrast at 11, man, it's reading pretty doggone good on that 455. I know it's a little hard to see with the glare and stuff, but it's really reading pretty good. But some of those settings right there to help get you started. And also I like the number 4 color palette. That chart speed, running it at 5, you know, the thing with that, you can speed it up, but the problem when you speed it up is you lose detail. It's that way on 2D, on down image, on anything. When you speed it up, you lose detail. But if you don't idle slow enough, then you're not going to get that detail anyway. So for me, if I'm really graphing hard, I'm looking for those fish, you know, that's mainly what I'm doing. I'm going to put the motor in gear and not touch the throttle. I'm looking at, you know, about a 3 mile an hour is where I like to graph, and having my stuff set up to match that is how I'm able to see fish best. So one big thing to keep in mind. But on mine, most of the times I run a 100-foot range. Those settings right there, like I said, 12 on sensitivity, 11 on contrast. Contrast, you always want to run 1 or 2 lower than what your sharpness or what your sensitivity is. I always keep my sharpness on low. And then the same thing, you know, pretty similar settings with my down imaging. Actually picking up a little bit of interference right here right now. So let me see if I can get that took care of. I'm going to move over here to this other unit. And a lot of times it's just simply changing, making sure that you've got them reading the right transducers. Is more often than not why you'll pick up some interference like that. Everything's good there. But that's, you know, that's a really good picture other than picking up a little bit of interference, and I'll figure that out here in a minute. But you can see that bait, and from my side or my down imaging settings, same deal, go to enhance, 15, 12, sharpness on low, and that's going to get you started pretty good. And let's see, for the color palette on it, I actually like the number 2 instead of the number 4 that I like on side imaging. Sorry for any wind noise too, it's a little bit windy out here today. But that sonar, I run it on the number 1 color palette. I've actually not adjusted anything on my sensitivity on it just yet. Contrast, let's bump it up just a little bit. And it's pretty well good to go. I leave it on auto because that's the one I run when I'm running down the lake. And I will turn my chart speed up a little bit on that one. That's it. That's my setup right there. I'll dial this in and get rid of that little bit of interference, but really no big deal there. So that's the setup that I use on these. On the front ones, I got to do the same thing up there, especially with that new Mega 360. It's my first year running that Mega unit all year. Pretty excited about that. Mega imaging is something that I use on occasion, especially on down imaging. Side imaging, I go back and forth. It really depends on the depth, the water, I mean, a lot of different stuff. Some places Mega reads great, other places 455 is better. It's one of those kind of deals you just got to go back and forth, see which one suits the conditions you've got best. All right, so what I ended up doing to get rid of that 2D clutter, and you can see now I've got really clear screen. You can see there where I had a bunch of clutter. But what I ended up doing, so if you go menu twice, go over to network on both units. This unit is 151, this one's 108. Go down to network source setup, come over here to 2D. I turned the 2D on for this unit. So I've got them both reading off of the element for 2D on the left unit is where I've got them both reading. So that was able to fix it. I took all that clutter away on every screen. Nothing on down imaging, nothing on 2D. Cleared them up perfectly. That's one of those kind of things that you really just gotta get in there and mess with. I'm not exactly sure how they wired this boat at Nitro, which one's got what transducer's connected to it. But when you get in there and you select this one, see what it does. If it makes it worse, obviously you unselect that one and find another one to go to. Just making sure that I'm working off the transducers that are all back here on these back graphs, then I'm able to get it to where I don't have any interference whatsoever. So all the transducers now are reading off of this left unit, side image, down image, as well as 2D. They're all reading off of this unit, and that gave me a perfectly clear picture on everything across the screen. And just able to really get that picture dialed in exactly the way I want it. So it's one of those kind of things. Menu twice, network source setup, that is your friend on these Helix units. You're able to see everything that's connected right there, select and unselect when you go to each one, or any that are available, to be able to pick the ones to where you don't have any interference back and forth on all your different screens. All right, up here on the front graphs, front deck. First time old Trek's going in the water. Right there. Already got these units powered up. Go ahead and hit the spot lock so it'll hold us right here while I work on everything up here. Let's get there to the side. 360 start to do its thing. I already got those preset. I did that at home in the garage. Still got my screen covers on these. I will today until I get them pretty well dialed in. Let's see here. 100-foot range is typically what I run my mapping on. I'm gonna go ahead and get it set up like my back one is for lakemaster. I've got my lakemaster chip in here, so menu twice. Go over to Humminbird chart. Come down here to depth highlight. I have got that at 29 feet on the back. I just like to make them exactly the same so everything is exactly the same. I think I got it at 4 foot. I always run my shallow at 5. Water level offset out here on Cherokee right now, 17 is the right number. The lake is at 1047, so that puts that right. So there's all the shading and everything. It's got all that dialed in. Same deal with my 2D. I want to put it on the number 1 color. So I'll start there. Sensitivity and all that stuff, I'll turn my sensitivity up a little bit just to right out of the gate. Same with the contrast. That's all I'll do there until I actually put a bait in the water. 360. Okay. Menu. Once. Got a little excited there. I think 2 is the color that I typically run. Yeah. 2 is the color that I like because it's bright enough to be able to see what's going on, but not so bright it blows everything out. So 360 enhance. Sensitivity, let's turn it up a little bit. You can see how it gets brighter really kind of with each click all the way to the point you just blow it out at 20. It's obviously too high. Usually somewhere between 14 and 16 ends up being pretty close. Sharpness on low. So that's kind of where I go to start with. Sensitivity at 14. Sorry for that wind. Contrast at 12, sharpness on low. That's where I'm going to be to start with. And then one thing I like to do as well is I'll zoom that in one time. If I'm fishing on the bank, if I'm going down the bank or always moving forward with the boat, I'll actually have it set to where it's just forward looking. This makes more sense. It's the direction you're going, where you always want to be looking. When I'm fishing offshore like this, I do like to still get the full picture, but I want to punch it in just a little bit. We got it on an 80-foot range. Let's bump that up to 100. See what our picture looks like. The only thing, the further out you go, you can see it gets a little bit darker out there. If you want to switch that to a, see, I didn't mean to do that. Still learning. Isolate sweep area, I want to turn that off. There we go. Just had to hit it again. What I wanted to do, or tried to do, was to change my 360 ping to 455, just to see what the difference looks like there. You can really see just how much clearer that Mega is. I mean, those rocks and everything, a lot clearer with that Mega. So let's go back to Mega. So that's what we're going to have. We're going to put it there to start with, but it just takes time. A lot of time looking at the front of these things, the front of your boat, the back of the boat. I mean, I spent a good 30 minutes or so back there on the back just getting those dialed in. It'll take me that longer up here with the front, but that shows you kind of the baseline where I go to start with. Every boat is different. Every one I've ever had was a little different, but that's where I go to start with and what I'm going to do, right out of the gate to help get the best picture that I possibly can. And then I'll adjust it from there, and different fisheries I have to adjust it. Different water clarities, different temperatures, every little factor goes into it. So that's where I generally start with. Hope that helps you when you're setting up your new boat or you get a new piece of equipment on your boat. Just help you get that dialed in, help you catch more fish. So getting those graphs set up and everything out here on Cherokee where I'm breaking my boat in right now, winter time, vertical fishing is a big deal. First fish I dropped on, nice smallmouth right there. Vertical fishing with a little soft plastic bait. It's already working. Very first fish, 2020 boat. I think that was the second time I put a bait in the water. So hey, I'll take it. That's a nice chunk of smallmouth. Let's let it go right here. Sweet, you like that puppy?